It was the summer of 2014 when I decided to go camping by myself in a remote forest in northern Michigan. I'd camped plenty of times before, but this was the first time I'd ever gone completely alone. The first day was calm. The sun cut through the trees, birds sang, and I set up my tent by a shallow creek. The woods had a peaceful silence to them, but as the evening crept in, the silence started to feel heavier. Around midnight, I woke up to what sounded like footsteps outside my tent. At first, I brushed it off as a deer or raccoon. But then I heard a voice. A deep, gravelly voice muttering something I couldn't make out. I froze, not daring to breathe too loudly. My tent walls were thin, and I could see the faint glow of what looked like a lantern moving between the trees. The voice got clearer. It was a man, whispering to himself. "Where is it? Where is it?" The light stopped right outside my tent. I held my breath so long my chest burned. Then, the voice muttered. "Not here, not this one." The lantern moved away slowly until the light disappeared into the trees. I didn't sleep for the rest of the night. At dawn, I packed up and left immediately. On my way out, I found something nailed to a tree not far from my tent. It was a small wooden carving of a human face, with hollow eyes and an open mouth. I don't know who that man was, or what he was looking for. But I know he wasn't supposed to be out there. In 2009, my best friend and I were hiking through the woods in Oregon when we came across something strange. Deep off the trail, hidden behind thick brush, we found an old wooden cabin. At first, we thought it was abandoned. The wood was rotting, and the roof sagged. But what unsettled us was that the cabin had no windows. Just one door, sealed shut with rusty chains. We stood there, debating if we should even be near it. That's when we both heard it, a single knock from inside. We froze. My friend nervously laughed it off, saying maybe it was an animal. But then, 3 louder knocks followed. Perfectly spaced. Like someone knocking on a door. We ran. But curiosity got the best of us later that night at our campsite. We talked about it for hours, trying to explain it. Against better judgment, we went back the next morning. When we reached the spot, the cabin was gone. The clearing was empty, as if nothing had ever been there. The brush was undisturbed, and the ground was clean. But nailed to a tree nearby was a plank of wood. The same kind the cabin had been made of. Scratched into it were the words, "You found me." When I was a kid, I lived in rural Pennsylvania, and our backyard stretched into dense forest. My parents always warned me not to go too far into the woods, especially at night. One summer night when I was about 12, I ignored them. I grabbed a flashlight and went exploring. The woods were thick, and the deeper I went, the more wrong it felt. No crickets, no owls. Just silence. Then, I started seeing small piles of rocks. Stacked in little towers along the path. At first, I thought it was other kids playing around. But as I kept walking, the piles grew bigger. Some of them had bones in them. Animal bones, I told myself. Finally, I saw what looked like a person standing between the trees. My flashlight flickered, and for a second, I thought I saw multiple figures. But when the light steadied, they were gone. I ran home in tears. My parents scolded me, but eventually calmed me down. The next morning, when my dad went outside to check the woods, he came back pale. He didn't say much, just told me to never, ever go back there again. Years later, when I was older, he admitted something to me. He said that morning, he found dozens of those same rock piles all around our backyard. Lined up in perfect circles. This happened to my uncle in the late 1990s. He was an experienced outdoorsman and went hiking in the Appalachian Mountains for a weekend trip. On the second night, as he was setting up camp, another hiker stumbled into his clearing. The man looked exhausted, sweating, and paranoid. He begged my uncle to let him stay by the fire. My uncle agreed. They talked for a while, and the man kept saying he was being followed. When asked by whom, he just shook his head and whispered, "They don't want me to say." Later that night, my uncle woke up to the man screaming. He jumped out of his tent, but the hiker was gone. His backpack, shoes, everything was still there, but he had vanished. The next morning, my uncle packed up and reported it to park rangers. They organized a search, but nothing was ever found. Weeks later, when my uncle returned to the same trail, he noticed something carved into a tree right near the spot where he had camped with the man. It said, "I told you they were real. Which story scared you the most?" Comment below and subscribe for more true horror stories.